We run the fields, we fly on the courts, we break records, we fill the stadiums, we make billions move. But when it comes to ownership, when it comes to real power, we are still locked out. Used for entertainment, forgotten after the final whistle blows. Disposable, replaceable. Replaceable because they own the game, but they don't own us. 80% of the players, 0% of the owners. How does a people so dominant in ability still remain servants when it's time to collect at the top? This is not just about sports. It's about value. It's about legacy. It's about a system designed to profit off our bodies while denying us the keys to the empire we built. This is the Black athlete dilemma. Power without ownership. And the time has come to end it. The plantation wasn't just about forced labor. It was about extracting maximum profit from Black bodies while offering minimum ownership of life itself. Work the fields, entertain the masters, build wealth, of course, but for someone else. Today, they no longer sell us by the pound. They sell us by the 40-yard dash. They measure our strength, our height, our reach, not to empower us, but to invest in our labor. And like the fields of old, when your body can no longer produce, you are discarded. We call it the draft. They called it the auction. But the system never changed. It just changed its clothes. Even when we built our own, even when we carved greatness out of rejection, the system still found ways to profit from us. The Negro Leagues were born not just from talent, but from exclusion. Denied the right to play in major league stadiums, Black athletes and entrepreneurs built their own teams, their own dynasties. We owned the jerseys, we built the legends, but the stadiums, most still belong to white landlords. We paid rent to showcase our brilliance, but nonetheless, still guests in the empires we constructed. There were exceptions, bright stars in the darkness. Gus Greenlee built Greenlee Field. The Martin brothers built Martin Stadium. Black-owned fields where Black excellence reigned, but they were the exception, not the rule. Even at the height of our independent glory, the infrastructure, the soil beneath our greatness, was still controlled by the very system that denied our humanity. But hey, we still learned to dominate the field, but they still owned the field itself. In basketball, it was no different. The Harlem Globetrotters, born in Chicago, not Harlem, were warriors, not clowns. They defeated the best white teams in America again and again. But when it came to joining the NBA, to standing under the bright lights with dignity, we were told we were good enough for laughs, good enough to dance, good enough to razzle and dazzle, but not good enough to be respected. The fear was never about our ability to entertain. The fear was what would happen when we dominated, when we won too much, when we changed the game itself. And so we were locked out, confined to a circus ring, while they built a league in our absence, a league they knew could not survive once competition truly arrived. In football, the blueprint was more of the same. Black athletes helped build the early NFL, but by 1933, we were systematically erased. A silent agreement, a gentleman's agreement, led by no other than George Preston Marshall, owner of the Washington Redskins at the time. Under Marshall's influence, the league closed its doors to Black players for over a decade. We weren't excluded because we lacked skill. We were excluded because they saw what was coming. They saw the speed, the strength, the dominance, and they knew if the doors stayed open, the balance of power would shift forever. It wasn't random. It was business. It was their league, their fields, their empires, and they intended to keep them. In 1946, the Los Angeles Rams, under federal pressure, signed Kenny Washington and Woody Strode, breaking the color barrier, but the damage was already done. George Preston Marshall's Redskins stayed all white until 1962. only integrating when the government threatened to revoke their stadium lease. And while his name today is rightfully disgraced, George Preston Marshall still remains in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, an eternal reminder of how power protects its architects, even when the foundation was built on exclusion. And it wasn't just Marshall. Owners like George Hollis of the Chicago Bears, Tim Mara of the New York Giants, Art Rooney of the Pittsburgh Steelers, all operated under, benefited from, and helped maintain the walls of a segregated league. Today, Marshall's team has been sold, but the Hollis family still owns the Bears. The Mara family still owns the Giants, and the Rooney family still owns the Steelers. So this goes to show, the faces may change, the jerseys may change, color, location, sponsor, but the power stayed in the same hands. Across every field, every court, every ring, the pattern was the same. Brilliance allowed, ownership denied. And until we really understand that, until we address the system, not just the symptoms, the plantation never really closed. It just changed uniforms. Today they say it's different. They point to $1 million contracts, to sponsorships, to endorsements, to NIL deals for college athletes. They tell us we made it, that we're free now, that we control our destinies. But when you peel back the surface, the plantation system is still running. It just smiles now. Name, image, likeness? Yes, black athletes can profit from their face, their brand, their moments of glory. But the stadiums, still owned by them. The TV networks, still owned by them. The teams, the leagues, still owned by them. They'll let you sell the highlight, but they keep the platform. When Lamar Jackson fought to represent himself, to negotiate without a traditional agent, the world called him difficult. They called him foolish. They said he didn't know his value. When Shedeur Sanders, a projected top 5 draft pick all year long, was finally selected, it wasn't at the top where he deserved to be. It was the 5th round, a place reserved for backups and long shots, not generational talents. And why? Because Shedeur, like his father, carries something that they feel more than talent in a black man: confidence. In this system, when a black man is confident, he's called arrogant. But when a white man is confident, he's called a leader, a competitor, a fighter. They celebrate Baker Mayfield's fire. They praise Johnny Manziel's cockiness. But a black man with the same fire? Suddenly it's a problem. Suddenly it's a character concern. Deion Sanders raised his sons to shine, to know who they are, to walk in a light so bright it exposes the lie that said that their light was the only one allowed to exist, and that ours was never meant to shine at all, let alone shine brighter. Falling to the 5th round wasn't about humbling Shedeur. It was about humbling the spirit of free, confident black men, reminding us that we are welcome to perform, but never to stand tall in their spaces. NIL deals were supposed to be freedom, supposed to be empowerment, but most NIL contracts are managed by agencies, run by the same institutions that kept us out in the first place. You can make a few $100,000, maybe even a few million, if you're elite, but the colleges still own the arenas. The broadcasters still own the airways. The system still owns the empire. They may allow you to be the star in this system, but they still own the stage. This plantation model survives because we keep accepting the contracts, but never having any serious conversations about starting our own. We dominate the fields, the courts, the arenas, but we don't own the fields, the leagues, the stadiums, or the TV networks. And without ownership, every generation has to start from zero. The answer isn't just about getting paid. We've been getting paid. It's about getting into position now. It's not just about making millions. It's about controlling the machines that print the millions. It's about owning the team, owning the league, owning the production companies, owning the media that tells the story. Look at the blueprint. Ice Cube showed you that the NBA doesn't own basketball. They own the NBA. He built the Big Three, a league. LeBron just didn't score points. He built a production company to tell his own stories. The models are right in front of us, but we have to want ownership more than we want validation. The next Shedeur Sanders, the next Lamar Jackson, the next Deion Sanders shouldn't be fighting for better contracts. They should be fighting for boardrooms, fighting for TV rights, fighting for stadium ownership, fighting for broadcasting deals, fighting for equity, not just exposure. And it's not just the athletes, it's the trainers, the agents, the media personalities, the athletic directors, the sponsors, the fans. If we don't build our own systems, we will always just be a guest in theirs. Ownership isn't just about today, it's about tomorrow. It's about what we hand down when our season ends. George Hollis built the Chicago Bears, and his family still eats from that tree. Tim Mara built the New York Giants, and his family still eats from that tree. Art Rooney built the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his family still eats from that tree. Meanwhile, we're still fighting for rookie contracts, still fighting for endorsement deals, still fighting to be invited into rooms we should have owned decades ago. Ownership is about legacy, and without legacy, every generation of Black excellence starts from scratch, while others build empires on autopilot. Imagine if every Black athlete, every Black entrepreneur understood that their real opponent was never the player across the field, but the owner sitting above it. Imagine if every Black athlete demanded equity, not just salary, not just signing bonuses, but seats at the table, ownership percentages, broadcasting rights, real assets, not rented moments of glory. Now imagine if we took it even further. Imagine if we separated from their leagues entirely. If we built our own platforms, our own leagues, our own fields of legacy. Overnight, the dynamic will change, because the truth is, we are the life's blood of every major league on earth. We are the show. We are the culture. We are the economy behind it. Without us, there is no NFL, no NBA, no MLB. The power has always been in our hands. We just forgot how to close the fist. Imagine an all-Black owned league, not exclusive, but foundational, built by us for us, and still welcoming to all, because history proves that we've always been an inclusive people. HBCUs didn't shut others out. They opened doors we weren't allowed through. Black fraternities and sororities weren't built to divide. They were built to protect. The Civil Rights Movement didn't fight for exclusion. It fought for humanity. Ownership is not about excluding others. It's about making sure the reflection matches the contribution. When we shift the ownership, we shift the culture. The competition will be higher. The energy will be wilder. The innovation will be ours. Because finally, the platform would match the power behind it. The plantation of old was never just about labor. It was about legacy theft. And until we own, protect, and pass down our own platforms, the cycle will continue. We were born to shine. Now, it's time to build. The plantation didn't survive because it was powerful. It survived because we stopped seeing it. We normalized it. We performed on it. We even celebrated it, thinking the applause was ours to keep. But applause fades, and when the noise dies down, what's left? A jersey hanging in a stadium you don't own, a record in the league you don't control, a legacy written by someone else's pen. They told us the fight was about skill, about talent, about opportunity. But the real fight was about ownership. The question now is simple. Will we keep selling our labor, or will we start building our own legacy?